Former Oak Ridge National Laboratory Director Thom Mason discusses options to meet world energy needs.
If you want to be able to supply 9 billion people, a much larger fraction of whom have a high standard of living than we see today, if you look 30 years into the future, you've got three options. What we call renewables, which one form or another generally are solar energy. Wind energy is actually solar energy because it's driven by the sunlight, hitting the earth and driving the weather. Hydropower is actually a form of solar energy because it's the water cycle, the evaporation, getting water to higher elevations where you can then capture it as it heads back to sea level. And direct solar energy in the form of photovoltaic. So all of those share the characteristic that the fuel supply is, for practical purposes, inexhaustible because the sun's going to keep going long enough that I'm not too worried about when it's done. And there's no emissions associated with it. There are technical challenges because it's intermittent. So you've got to figure out how to solve that, with energy storage and smart grid and so forth. So promise, but technical challenges. Another option is the kind of closed cycle nuclear. So things like the fast breeder reactors, molten salt, so forth. We know we can do that. It's been demonstrated. It was demonstrated in the 50s. The challenges there are how expensive is it going to be and what's the public acceptance? And there are potential technological solutions to both those things, and that's kind of what's being explored as people look at some of these with renewed interest at some of these old concepts. And then the third option is fusion, where again, you don't have a real constraint in terms of fuel supply. The challenges there is, can you actually make it work in a controlled way that you can get power from it? We have fusion releasing power in the form of our nuclear weapons, but that's not very useful in terms of generating electricity. So that's why people look at things like tokamaks and so forth. So, all three of those different potential energy sources for the future of humanity are elements of the R&D that goes on in the DOE labs today, including at Oak Ridge.